Hey, listen, this game has given y'all so much. Has given y'all the opportunity to come out here, to get an education, to go play football with your boys. So give it everything you have.
Sir.
This game has given you everything, so give the game everything.
Hell yeah.
So go out on this field, go smack them. Every snap. When you step on that field, change your mindset. We killers out here. Killers. Here we go. Hey, killers on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Touchdown, California. To the 18-yard line on his return. Throws over the middle. It is intercepted by Masses. At this time, he'll hand off. Raphael throw a hole to the 20, 25, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, California. It is Plummer. Drew Pollawar breaks it up for the Bears. Reaches back with a right hand. Turns. Does. Pile on. Touchdown, California.
From the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza, it is the Cal Football Countdown, the kickoff show for the final time here in 2025 at Memorial Stadium. I'm Greg Silver alongside former Golden Bear running back, but forever Golden Bear, Patrick Laird. And Patrick, a lot has changed since we were last on the air together. About less than 24 hours after the fact, the news broke that Cal has decided to let go head coach Justin Wilcox. It will be Nick Rolovich taking over as the interim today. So while we're here to preview this showdown between Cal and SMU with all these implications of the ACC championship on the line, there are a lot of changes coming within this program, and I know that this is some news that impacted players in a lot of different ways. Emotions were all over the map, coming off a 21-point loss to your rival in a disappointing fashion against Stanford. You obviously played under Coach Wilcox, and you experienced a coaching change in your time here as a Golden Bear, so I know that you have a lot to say about just what it's like to be a part of this kind of situation, and of course your relationship with Coach Wilcox himself.
I was very bummed, honestly, when I heard the news. I just thought about the impact that he made on my life. And, you know, I'm forever grateful for Sonny Dykes and his staff for bringing me in as a walk-on from a small high school in San Luis Obispo, California. But it wasn't until Coach Wilcox came in with his staff and kind of gave me the confidence with the new fresh set of eyes evaluating me as a football player. And, you know, you mind if I share a couple stories on why, you know, you hear so many people talk about their support for the man himself as well as a great football coach. His first weekend he was hired, one of my best friends and my teammates at the time, Chase Forrest, we walk into the football offices hoping to meet the new head coach, and we figured, you know, we'll just do a little introduction, hopefully make a good first impression and be on our way. And right when we meet him, he's beaming, saying, "Great to meet you." And he invites us into his office. And, you know, I haven't spent that much time in the head coach's office. And so we sit down on the couch and we just chat for like 15, 20 minutes. He's asking us about our lives. And, you know, it was a small gesture, but as a walk-on that had never sniffed the field or barely sniffed the field at that point, you know, that's one of those little moments that you hear people talk about. And then that spring, I ascend to the highest I'd ever been on the depth chart, 3rd string. And I'm stoked. And, you know, it was Wilcox. It was, you know, new offense coordinator, Bo Baldwin. It was the strength coach, Torrey Becton, that saw potential in me and said I was going to help us win games in the fall, and at the time just as a 3rd string running back. So fast forward 2 years later, Chase Forrest and I check into our hotel room the night before our final collegiate game, the Cheez-It Bowl in Phoenix, the infamous Cheez-It Bowl. And we walk into our hotel room and we find a gift on our beds. And Coach Wilcox had written every single senior the night before our final collegiate game a personal handwritten letter tucked inside of a book. And I learned so much about football from the weekend that Coach Wilcox was hired until his final night that he was coaching me. But more than that, I learned how to be a great man. And that's why you saw the outpouring of support from current, former players. I mean, current players were beat up this week and sad about the news. They love Coach Wilcox. But you heard about Ron Rivera talking about in his press conference. He wants to find a future head coach that loves the university. Coach Wilcox was a coach that loved this university. He loved his players. And so what I'm really hopeful going forward is in the next person to take the helm of Cal football, they're going to love it just as much as Justin Wilcox did.
We're going to hear from Ron Rivera coming up in just a bit. And yeah, you can hear a lot of different accounts throughout the week about Coach Wilcox and what he meant to their players, just a leader of men, in addition to being a football coach. And some of those stories right there are some prime examples. So when you're with a program for nearly 9 seasons, as Justin Wilcox was, love him, hate him, regardless, that's a long time to make an impact on a region, a fan base, a group of alumni, donors, you name it. And so 48-55 record was the total over 9 seasons, but the number 9 is what really sticks out as the amount of time. It was a big chapter here in the University of California football program, and so I know it wasn't an easy decision for Ron Rivera, but as you mentioned, it's about loving Cal and loving the university, and on top of that, being able to stack some of the wins and losses and elevating to that standard of 8-9, maybe ultimately getting in the college football playoff. The numbers that Ron Rivera was very public about when he took on this role as general manager last summer. Let's hear a snippet from Ron Rivera, which a lot of people have heard at this point, but it's always very worthwhile to replay on the show. Here's what he had to say earlier in the week.
Ron, I wonder if you could take us through the weekend and how things unfolded. Did you know right away after the game that you were going to make a change, and was it a deal where if you're going to make a change, might as well just do it now?
Well, once the game finished, I went through a huge thought process, trying to kind of go through my mind, what just transpired, what did it mean going forward for the program. And as I considered it and continued to talk about it, the realization that, if there is an opportunity to do it now, let's do it now. That way we can make the break. I talked with several people about this and decided to sleep on it. I woke up in the morning about 5 and started thinking some more, and then called a couple other people I had to talk with. I called the chancellor and told him I felt that now was the opportunity for us to move forward, and to let Justin go and start planning for our future.
Can you share anything about your conversation with Justin?
It was very professional. I mean, the guy is a class act, a character man. The guy's done a lot for this program. Very grateful for him, for him getting us to where we are. I mean, consecutive bowl games year after year has been a very good trend for us. The hard part is obviously we would love to see a lot more success in terms of the wins and losses. But for the things that he did do and did help us, that was outstanding.
Way everything happened, what are the characteristics or the factors that factored into the decision to let go of Coach Wilcox? And then what are those factors that you're looking for in bringing in a new coach for this next team? Well,
I'll say this, in looking the last couple of seasons, looking at where we ended up and then seeing where we are again, we got to a certain level. Losing the big game, really got me thinking more so than I really, had anticipated. I was very optimistic about our opportunity to win that game and what it would mean for us going forward as a program. And unfortunately, the loss occurred and, the wheels started to turn. As far as going forward, I'm compiling a list right now of viable candidates. Looking to at least one thing is making sure, that they can answer the question, why Cal? Why would you want to come back to Cal? Or why would you like to come to Cal? Why would you like to be part of what we're doing? That'll be one of the questions that'll have to be answered. I got to, make sure they understand, what this university is about, and what it takes to be here. That's one thing I think is going to be really, really important. I think that, the other things that I'm working on right now too is going to put together a committee. I'm looking for some alums, former players, students, former students that is, that are donors that have a stake in what we're doing, and then some faculty members and some representatives from the athletic department. Haven't decided if I'm going to do just a committee of players or if I'm going to have the candidates when they come in get an opportunity to speak to the entire team. I think it's important that they have a voice in this as well, because this candidate, whoever it is, becomes the head coach, is going to lead these young men, and so these young men deserve to have a say in this as well.
Well, and you've talked about the story, how you became the GM, that Chancellor had asked you to list some characteristics, and then he finally said, well, you're the guy I want. Is there any chance you would go through this process, and you've been a head coach, you know Cal, that you could go from GM to head coach?
I don't think so. I think what I'm doing right now is trying to create the opportunity to make this as attractive a job as possible. I'm trying to be as supportive as I can to bring as many resources as we can to this. situation, and that's the big thing that we've been getting is we've been getting a lot of positive responses the last few weeks, and it's having gotten the opportunity to engage, and I think that's what my mission is to try and create that and keep the engagement coming for whoever's next, and try to be as supportive as I can.
Will you guys be using a search firm to assist in this, or will just
No.
be you and the committee?
No, I've got enough contacts throughout the coaching world to get a list, and I've already got a list of 14, and I'm going to probably pare that down to about 10. I'll probably get a few more, but I'll pare it down probably to about 10, and then I'll take those names to the committee, and then we'll go from there.
Ron, I wonder if you could take us through the weekend and your. Ron, I wonder if you could take us through the week
of the program decision to make a coaching change. And as always, the state of the program is brought to you by Trumer Pills. The perfect pills calls Berkeley home. So if anyone has room for leftover calories after their Thanksgiving holiday, I guess I'll do the smallest of sips. Even might be a little bit too much.
Room left. Yeah.
I'm getting old here already, but now bringing it back to Ron Rivera and his comments. I mean, this was obviously a decision that he weighed very heavily. He talked about taking that loss against Stanford, digesting it, waking up at 5 a.m. and deciding this was the time to make a big jump. Now, you know that the nature of this business is tricky. It is results-oriented, regardless of a lot of the emotions, regardless of some of the relationships made along the way. Ultimately, there's a really high standard when you take on a coaching role at any program, and the goal, above all else, is to win. And at 48-55, Ron Rivera felt like now was the time to make a change. But you also talked about Justin Wilcox and how much he loved Cal. And Ron Rivera said, the question I need to ask this next candidate is, why Cal? Why come back to Cal? Why come to Cal in the first place? Like, do you understand the type of role that you're taking on and the standard that we are trying to build here? And so you were part of a coaching change. You had a couple of years under Sonny Dykes, and then Justin Wilcox came in. What was that like? I love the stories you told about meeting Justin for the first time, but how was it as a walk-on trying to make it, improve yourself to one head coach and one coaching staff, and then all of a sudden it's like you got to start over all over again?
It is a tough thing, and you build relationships with these coaches, and you spend a lot of time with them. And so when the head guy is let go, you just know from top down there's going to be a lot of changes going forward, and sometimes change can be good for people, and sometimes change isn't always what people prefer. And so you go through those roller coaster of emotions. But on the flip side is you can look at it as a potential opportunity for yourself. Say, hey, I got a new fresh set of eyes. If you were playing with the previous coaching staff, then you just prove to the coaching staff why they're making the right decision. And if you weren't before, you want to prove to the new one why that you should be on the field. And, I mean, Coach Rivera talked about it. This is a tough decision because of the type of guy Coach Wilcox is. But, you mentioned it. Chancellor Lyons, Ron Rivera, the donors, there's a new bold step forward they want to take with this program to be on the right side of future realignment, and this is them backing up what they've been talking about all season. So I love that question that Ron Rivera is going to ask, why Cal? Because I want the future head coach to be able to articulate why this place is so special. Scott Fujita talked about it last week on the show. This isn't a stepping stone place. Berkeley and Cal football are not stepping stones. This is a destination, and I think the administration is trying to prove that.
And all eyes not only turn to the coaching search, all eyes turn to the quarterback. And we're going to talk about JKS coming up in a bit with none other than Mike Pawlawski, voice of the Golden Bears. You can hear him and Justin Allegri on the Bud Light Tailgate Show and on the call for the radio as well. So when we come on back, let's talk to Mike about his reaction to the news and the goal of keeping Jaren Kiave Sangapulatele a Golden Bear. It's the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff Show.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
Back here at the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza, it is the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff, and we are joined, Patrick, by a Cal Athletics Hall of Famer. You can also hear him on the radio broadcast with Justin Allegri, none other than Mike Pawlawski, and our time with Mike is brought to you by Visit Berkeley. Berkeley, a beacon by the bay. What's going on, man?
Just great to be here. My headset, need to get it going here. Yeah. Just great to be here. Happy to be, here for SMU post Thanksgiving. Kind of the little turmoil going on in the program right now, but pretty excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. Every single game, and I've talked about this with Patrick time and time again on the show, you only get a certain amount of game days. In a sport like football, you only get a certain amount of home games. And so not only do we celebrate our hometown heroes today, we have a lot of seniors who are going to be playing their last game at this stadium and a member of this program. And so there's no way around it, right? There was a lot of change. It was a disappointing showing at the Farm, 31-10. You expected to go in, extend that streak of keeping the Axe for 5 years.
Like that.
But you can't put the ball on the ground, give the defense 14 points there in the first half. And so not only do they have to grapple with the loss in a rivalry game, they got to grapple with finishing out the season. And they do have some extra weeks of practice because of the bowl game. They got to do it under a new coaching staff than what they've been used to from the fall. And for some of these players, extending back a year or two.
Yeah, kind of figuring out where their footing lies right now, obviously. Senior day is a huge thing. Pat remembers walking out senior day. I remember my mom and dad standing there senior day. It's a huge deal. I actually got the opportunity to come in and speak to the team yesterday, and that was kind of cool. Going back as an alum and a Hall of Famer to be able to talk to these guys about what it's about to get to that next level. You played at the next level, how difficult that can be. And so getting the mindset right going into the last game and then getting 4 weeks to practice or to at least focus back on football and get back into a bowl game. It's a huge thing for these guys. And so getting their head right, getting them wrapped into making that decision to make this program great is what it's going to take. Every team that's come through here that's been great have had those leaders that have stepped up and said, it's time for us to be great. They make the decision, and they tell that story over and over. And that's what I was talking to them about, how you do that as a team. And I hope it shows up on the field today.
Love that message, and I hope they were listening. So I want to ask you about someone that you probably have barely been asked about this season, Jaren Kiave Sangapolatele. No, you're probably I imagine it's more fun to talk about an amazing quarterback rather than the storyline of, hey, should we switch to the other guy or whatnot. Cal doesn't have that problem this year. So I want to hear from your perspective, because people will ask me, what do you think about this quarterback or that quarterback? And I'm like, the people that know the least about the quarterback room is everyone outside of the quarterback room. The real evaluators are the guys that threw the football. You're obviously a Cal Hall of Famer, so you know the position as good as anybody else. What type of growth are you seeing from Jaren this season, and what do you want to see him get better at from that year 1 to year 2 jump that you tend to see?
Yeah, by the way, I love the respect for the quarterback room. That's awesome. On top of that,
it's a tough position.
I have literally watched every piece of game film this year. So I watch the games live, and then I go back and I study all the film like a coach. So I love breaking this stuff down. He came in as probably the most innately accurate passer I've ever seen. I got to do Kyle Bowler here, Pat Barnes. I got to call their games. I got to call Jared Goff. I got to call Aaron Rodgers. All these guys. I mean, some big-time names coming through Cal. As a true freshman, he is more accurate naturally than any of those guys. So he can drive the ball to the spot where he wants to throw it. And he has what I call relational accuracy. He knows how to throw a guy open even if he's covered. There was that shot at Louisville. I was just looking at the video last night where literally the tight end, Landon Morris, is completely covered. Linebacker has his hands on him, and he throws this high, hard outside ball that only Landon Morris can catch. And so he has that. Yeah. And the quarterback room here calls it accuracy arrogance, because he's so accurate that he's arrogant about it. And that leads to my next point. As a freshman, he loves to drive the ball down the field. That's what he's always been able to do. He throws that great back shoulder ball, better than anybody I've seen. And so he just loves to drive it. So he stays on his verts a little bit too long. From time to time, I'll see him drop his eyes down, hit his checkdowns, and the offense works perfectly. It works fantastic. I try to tell quarterbacks all the time, check downs equal first downs equal touchdowns, right? And so you put these together piece by piece. It's like building a Lego set. Every time I get the ball off to my running backs, they make me look good.
Yeah.
And so get the backs the ball, check it down, do the easy things. And so as a freshman, that's what he needs to learn. I see it from time to time. The game is going to open up to him. I think he was really fortunate this year to have both Nick Rolovich and Brian Harsin as a coordinator, quarterback coach / offensive assistant, because both those guys see the game a little bit differently, and they bring different flavors to the game for a quarterback. And the more different inputs you can get as a quarterback in terms of how to look at a game, the more you can find your style. And so I think he's going to be phenomenal when he's all said and done. I hope and I hear that he's going to be here for a while. And so I'm really looking forward to calling his games moving forward.
I hope so. It's great to have Mike Pawlawski here with us. It's the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff show. We got some giveaways. We got energy. We've got a top dog eating contest coming up a little bit later, so don't go anywhere. Mike, when we talk about Jaron, how can this team or whoever the next group of leaders is, whoever the next head coach is, how can they ultimately set him up for success? I think a true freshman quarterback, it's been one of the more interesting seasons to watch in the sense that you've seen the raw talent on display, and you've also seen the growing pains, and sometimes that all plays out over the course of one game, in multiple quarters, right? And so you think about the highs we've seen, and then you think about some of the areas where maybe he's had to do his own learning. But football, and you know this better than anyone, as do you, Patrick, it is the ultimate team sport. The details, the play design, just the precision on every little motion and movement, it's got to be pristine. And the higher in this you get, the higher levels, the more and more disciplined you have to be. So when you think about the big year of growth for JKS, how can he be set up for success moving forward as he continues to grow his own game?
Yeah, I think you nail it. Football is the ultimate team sport. If 11 guys have to do their job every single play, everybody's got to pull on the rope, and if they don't, you're going to find the weak spot. Any good team's going to find that weak spot. So it's a fantastic place to be. The first thing I would do as if I'm Ron Rivera, if I'm the new head coach, is I'm going to get a great offensive line to support him, whether it's teaching the guys that we have here, because I believe that we have some tackles here that could be NFL players. They're not playing like it. They haven't played like it for much of the year. And so if you can pick their game up, these guys literally have the physical skills to be NFL players. And then I'm going to find a way to protect the rest of that line. Give him a little bit more time. And he only needs a half a second. He doesn't need all the time in the world. You just give him a half more second so he can be comfortable in his reads. He doesn't feel like the game speeds up. That's going to be huge. I would love to see on top of the guys we have, I love Tron Grizel, right? I love Jacob DeJesus. I love these guys. Our tight ends are great. But I'd like to see somebody who runs a 4-3 that'll take the top off. I'd like to see a couple of guys that can stretch the coverage. And so he can throw the big ball over the top. I've seen him throw so many phenomenal back shoulder balls, which means we're not winning up top. And so I want to see that guy where he can throw the over-the-top ball, layer it in, just let him run to it. And if we have that, along with an offensive line, running backs are going to be a whole lot better because now your passing game opens everything up. The big guys, everything goes through the offensive line. If they're not great, then the whole team can't be great. And they set the mentality for the entire team. I'd like to say it's quarterbacks, but it's not. It's the big guys up front. And if you have nasty guys that are willing to choke somebody out, at the drop of a hat, that's what you want. And then set those guys, and everything else comes together.
We appreciate your time coming by the Countdown to Kickoff show. And when we hand this off at the end of it all, we'll go right to you and Justin in the booth. So love the breakdown on him. And this is going to be another great day to watch JKS do his thing in a very different set of circumstances.
It is. And hopefully get some man matchups that he can beat here today. Appreciate you guys having me on. By the way, next time, send me the memo about the sunglasses. I appreciate that.
Mike Pawlawski, Cal Athletics Hall of Famer. Stick around. We've got a little Senior Day spotlight coming your way because it is a Senior Day here at Memorial Stadium. We'll be back after these messages.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
Back here at the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza, this is Cal Football's Countdown to Kickoff. Greg Silver, Patrick Laird alongside me, and we spent a lot of time with Mike Pawlawski talking about a freshman in JKS, but today is also senior day. And so with all the change, with all the turmoil that's gone around with Cal football in the last week, well, a lot of these players have been waiting 4 years for this moment right here today, whether that means they're going to suit up or whether that means that they appreciate all of their contributions at the practice field or being a good teammate. This is still a very important day. And what do you remember from your senior day experience here?
The main thing I remember is my family being there for the game, and they get to walk out with you on the field. And so by the time you reach your senior year, running through the tunnel and onto the field it's a special moment right before the game, but it's something that you kind of lose the magic of. Like I remember I took a recruiting visit even as a walk-on up here at Cal, and I got to walk through the tunnel, and I was like, this place is amazing. I want to go here. And but your parents and your siblings and your grandparents, they don't get to experience that. And so on that day, you get to see the big smile on their face. And my grandparents were there, which was amazing. And, they're probably watching right now, but they haven't been able to travel to any of my games in the recent years. And so for them to make it up to my senior game was a very special moment for me. And the other thing, too, I know we're going to highlight some seniors here in a minute. But the thing that I remember looking back on is, I came in with about 25 scholarship players and maybe 10 or 15 walk-ons in our freshman class. And the majority of us stuck it out until senior year. And so it was a special day. It was a special night with those people. And so I hope, some programs, some organizations across NCAA figures out how to retain players, bring them in a freshman recruiting class, let them grow together. I think, the investment in Cal football going forward with Ron Rivera and the Chancellor Lyons behind the program, I think we will be able to build a program where people want to show up freshman year and stay till senior year to make nights like tonight even more special.
We've got one of your former teammates who knows all about that special feeling. Stef McClure going to be joining us coming a bit. He actually coached for SMU. He was on the coaching staff for a few years, so we're going to have to ask him where his allegiance is. And if he's going to take part in the show, then I think we kind of got our answer right there.
He's rooting for the Bears tonight.
But no, it was great talking to him a little bit beforehand, and we'll have him coming up. We also have got the famous Top Dog Eating Contest because we got to go out with a bang here if this is game number 6 here at Memorial Stadium. As far as some of these seniors to highlight, I mean, whether they are players who mostly had their contributions on the practice field, or maybe some of these guys had to battle through injuries, maybe some won't be suiting up today. There's also a lot who made some memorable moments throughout the season. Jacob DeJesus, we highlighted how impactful he was in that 16-catch walk-off touchdown in Louisville. Tron Grizel last week at Stanford, although that game ultimately didn't go the way the Golden Bears want. A couple of years ago at the Farm, he was the guy with career highs and a pair of touchdowns on that front. Then you've also got somebody like Paco Austin, who is the reason that we had a victory show on the postgame at the Plaza because of punching the ball out at the goal line against Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels in that very gritty 21-18 back on October the 17th right here. And so regardless of the contribution, I mean, for those players who aren't able to suit up, this will be a great chance to appreciate them during all the breaks, pregame, halftime, postgame. And also, there's 60 minutes of football to be played where you can watch these guys do it for the last time here in front of their home fans. And as you mentioned in your case, sometimes a lot of family come up as well.
Yeah, you want to play in front of the people that mean the most to you, and oftentimes that's your family, and it's the fans here at California Memorial Stadium. You hit on a lot of the important seniors, and we're gonna miss a lot of those guys on offense. You talked about Paco Austin. The other guy I wanted to highlight, senior tonight, Zeke Masses, who actually just received his invite to the Senior Bowl, which is a big accomplishment as for a guy that's looking to go on and play in the NFL. So congratulations to him. Tied for second, I believe, in the country still with interceptions. That's going to be key tonight, so he will be a big-time senior stepping it up. And then the other guy I wanted to talk about and highlight, and he's the type of guy on the team that everybody knows about, right, within the organization or within the program, and the closest fans are going to recognize him. but maybe the people on the outside or people that are new to the Cal football fandom might not know about number 47, Aiden Kiana-Aina, and he is just a workhorse in the middle. You know, D tackles are super important to hold up O linemen and not let them get off blocks up to your middle linebacker, so you can have a guy like Cade Uluave have, 10-plus tackle games. You have to have guys like Kiana-Aina in the middle. And so I wanted to give him a shout-out. They call him most underrated player on the team, and it's because he makes – I don't want to call him flashy plays, but he is just hustle. He's strong. He plays his technique, and he is playing the way the coaches are teaching him to, and he's holding it up in the middle, and he's freeing up the guys around him to make plays. And so not a flashy player, but a very important player that's going to have to play well tonight.
Well, you've had a track record of highlighting players in the pregame stint that we end up revisiting in the postgame stint, so maybe that trend's going to continue here today.
Hopefully.
Our Senior Day Spotlight is brought to you by the Oakland-San Francisco Bay International Airport. Fly the East Bay way. All right, we teased it a couple times. Now it's time to get your Joey Chestnut on. Coming up in a bit, thankfully, I'm spared from this one. It's the Top Dog Eating Contest. Can Patrick Laird take down a fan? I think my money might be on the fan, but we'll see if that's just a little extra motivation for him. It's the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
And we're back. It is the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff. Greg Silver, Patrick Laird, and I'm here with Riley, who's going to participate in this Top Dog Eating Contest. Riley, I hope you left a little extra room after a big Thanksgiving dinner. You ready to do this?
Heck yeah.
All right, so before we get to it, I think we got to see what Pat has been up to in his time as he recovers from Thanksgiving. Maybe Top Dog is just so good that he shows up early, coming from San Luis Obispo, where he's with some family, and you can see him right here. He's ordering up. I don't know how many he went for. We see a big 2. Okay.
I'm good at setting up pre-roll. I'm like two Top Dogs.
And you got the nice punt block return shirt. So there you go. Maybe we'll see a couple of those
Shout
today.
Special
But
teams.
Before we get to that, it's time to show what you still got and find out if you learned the lesson I had to grapple with at Thanksgiving, which is I might be getting a little bit old. Riley, you ready to do this?
Heck yeah.
All right, so what's at stake here is that you can get a Patrick Laird signed football and some Cal swag. I don't know why Patrick would want to get his own signed football, but
No, I want
I
it
think
back.
he's just he wants it back. He just likes to win. All right, on your marks, get set, go. All right, Riley getting a nice head start there. Patrick already falling behind, hurting. You got the Trumer pills in front of you. I don't know what's off limits. I don't know if that's cheating. I'm just here to moderate. He's going for it. Oh, we got 2. Okay, everything's on the table now. I think I'm giving the slight lead here to Riley. Now we're not getting the water. Beggars can't be choosers here on the Top Dog Eating Contest. Patrick may have taken a slight lead. It's all about tackling the bun. The hot dog is the part that you really can just force down at the end. It's the bun that's going to soak it up. That's where Trumer Pills comes into play right here. Oh, man.
This looks so easy on
This
TV.
is really, really neck and neck. I know, they really do. And I'm grateful that I'm not having to participate in this at all. lesson for all you kids out there, learn how to talk so that you don't have to shove hot dogs down your throat 2 days after Thanksgiving. All right, Patrick's looking pretty close there at the end. He's winning the bun battle, that's for sure. I don't know, though. It's getting close. Oh, we got a special delivery coming with a pair of waters. Wow. Understandably, they go straight for the hydration. When in doubt, Aquafina will be there for you. Patrick first to crack the water. That could be big as we look down the home stretch of this contest here. Got about 24 and a half minutes left on the show. I might be doing the final 24 just by myself. Patrick looks like he is hurting right there. But he's going. He's going. He's downing it with water. It's going to be close. Oh, my gosh. I mean, we're going for the end. It's all about finishing the swallow. I'll let you know that this suspense here is brought to you by Heller Jewelers, celebrating life's special moments. Like, this is why we watch sports right here. And I think that just about does it. Patrick giving the open mouth clear.
Getting down to the wire, though. Riley, wow.
But Riley with a valiant effort overall. I mean, we're talking just behind by a couple of chews, maybe one extra sip. I'm telling you, I think the crack of the water bottle truly was the difference in this one. But Riley, look, I know that sometimes it's about winning, it's about losing. That is an effort that is worthy of the prize. So not only do you get a little bit of lunch taken care of, you can skip out on dinner if you want, and you get a Patrick Laird signed football and some Cal swag. So thank you for your participation. Are you still doing okay? You hanging in?
I'm okay.
There was a moment where we're looking at each other like, I think we're both about to choke right now. So Riley, thanks for playing. Yeah, they've been sitting there for a while. Good beer in general, but just warm now. So, yeah.
Okay, well, we knew we had to do something of that sort here on the Countdown to Kickoff for 2025. I know we were throwing around different ideas of things that I could participate in. I don't know how I got out of this, but I know 2026 might not be as kind to me.
You're doing it next year.
Yeah, or doing something, no question. Appreciate it, Riley. Well done, Patrick, and I hope you can hang out for the next couple of segments, Pat, because I'm still going to need you as we move forward here. Let's bring in your former teammate, former Golden Bears, Stef McClure, for a little game review, breaking down some SMU tape, and getting ready for this matchup ahead. It's the Countdown to Kickoff show at the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
Countdown to Kickoff continues here at Memorial Stadium. Now to eat a hot dog. No, I'm kidding. We're not doing that again for Patrick. But former Cal and NFL defensive back and former member of the SMU coaching staff, for that matter, Stef McClure, joining us. Appreciate your time, and good to have you back on campus.
Oh, appreciate it. Happy to be here, and looking forward to a great game.
I bet you didn't think we would be talking about Cal SMU facing off to finish out some ACC play when you were a member of the Golden Bears, but here we are with the changing landscape of college sports, and that brings us to what Cal has the opportunity to achieve today. That is playing some spoiler. Yeah, the ACC championship is far from settled, and we learned that Miami took down Pitt a little bit earlier, and so we have all these different scenarios, including one on the table involving a 6-way Ty, I know Cal's not going to be a part of that one in the end, but look, your coach gets fired, you lose the big game, it's senior day, you still feel like you got a lot to play for. Why not inflict the pain that you felt in the locker room onto somebody else?
Absolutely. Go out there and have some pride about yourself and leave it all on the field. You're not guaranteed 12 opportunities, and this is the last game of the season until the bowl game. So go out there, play spoiler, play hard, and play for your brothers out there next to you.
And I think Coach Rolovich talked about it in his presser when they opened up to him. He just wanted to say, like, one of the messages to the guys is, like, feel how you're feeling. You can be frustrated. You can be sad that Coach Wilcox was let go. But one of the best ways to honor him, and one of the guys that's probably rooting the hardest for Cal to win tonight, is probably Justin Wilcox. He didn't overlap in your time at Cal, but you went on to coach, so you hear stories about the coaching world. So we want to ask you about your time coaching at SMU, but I also want to talk about your time here at Cal. So when I came on campus, Stef McClure was like the man on the team. Were you a 3-time captain?
I was.
For anyone that doesn't know, being elected a captain as a sophomore is crazy. So that just tells you a lot about the leadership of Stef McClure. And then before I showed up, you guys had gone 1-11, and then I think we went 5-7. And then your senior year, we go to a bowl game with Jared Goff. Now we're about to go through a transition with Cal football. Talk about that time when you were at Cal, how you guys went from that 1-11 season all the way to making a bowl. And how does Cal replicate that going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the offseason starts as soon as the bowl game's over. Just putting in that work day in and day out. As you know from your road to success that you've had, there's no shortage of work, right? You got to continue to work, you got to grind, and you got to play for your brothers. In this landscape of college football with, all the transfer portal and everything like that, you still have – it's the greatest team sport. Takes all 22 out there on the team. They got to work together, but it starts in the weight room. It starts off-season conditioning and building that toughness that I know Wilcox was instilling in these guys, and it's going to be great to see how hard they play today.
What drew you into coaching out of being from college and then into the NFL, and why'd you end up at SMU?
Absolutely. So, Coach, I had some very impactful coaches in my life, right, that believed in me, that helped me have opportunities to achieve more and play this game at the highest level. And I wanted to be able to give back to the game that way and be able to impact young men that way. And then getting to SMU was I played for Coach Dykes here, and he had always told me, hey, if you want to get into coaching, let me know. I finished playing, and he, sure enough, he kept his word, right? And that's the only thing you can ask for as a man. He gave me a call and was like, hey, if you want to come out here and coach, we got a GA spot open, and then what you do with it from there is on you, how much work you put in. And it was fortunate. We had a great run at SMU, and now Rhett Lashley has even taken it to new heights with an opportunity to go to their third straight conference championship game.
And you're not coaching for them now, so you've spent some time with some of the players and the coaches on this staff. So take us behind the scenes a little bit. Like, how did SMU just enter the ACC, and now they're looking for back-to-back appearances in the conference championship, something that Cal would like to do going forward? What did you see behind the scenes? What is it at SMU that they're cooking up that's made them so special the last couple years?
Absolutely, great question. They're winning the state of Texas, right? So the DFW area has so much talent, so many athletes, and we're getting them to stay home, right? And not having them go somewhere for 2-3 years back then where you had to be a senior transfer or write a letter. It's like, no, why don't you come here right now? We're building something special, and come play in front of your family. And Coach Dykes was able to do that for his years there as they turned around, didn't win the conference championship. And then when Coach Lashley's been there, he's continued to build on that and take them to new heights, which would be great for them to just be in back-to-back championship. They haven't done that since 1981, 82, and 83. So the Pony Express days are back there at SMU.
Well, our game review is brought to you by Bear Insider, your #1 stop for Cal athletics content. I teased it, the possibility of a 6-way tie, so you might be watching thinking, I will help us out. How does that actually work? I think we got a little bit of something to show you here. We had some final scores already. There you see Miami defeated Pitt 38-7. Boston College took down Syracuse by a score of 34-12. So that means that some of those right there, and it looks like Duke holding on to a 10-point lead against Wake Forest. So if Duke is to end up holding on here in the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead, then those bottom graphics, then they're all off the table. It requires a Duke loss. So Pitt did end up losing today, but Duke would have to lose, and Virginia would have to win. North Carolina wins in that top scenario. Then we're talking about a Virginia win, an NC State win, a Boston College win, then another tiebreaker. And so it's still very much on the table. Now, Duke came in here and put up numbers in the 40s earlier in the season, so it looks like that offense hasn't slowed down as they're taking on their rival in Wake Forest.
Yeah, that's a lot of different scenarios. I'm just going to check the scores, I think, at the end of the night and let people tell me and calculate who won the ACC. But it's an important thing to bring up because SMU controls its destiny tonight. If they win tonight, they're playing in the conference championship. So they're a very motivated team. I want to see how Cal responds. We've been talking about it all season. This is a never-quit football team. People are probably tired of hearing me say it, but when I turn on the tape and watch them, they're not quitting. Very bad performance last week, but throughout the season they've shown up, and they've lost and then come back and won big games. So I'm rooting for the Bears tonight, and I think we're going to coming up. We're going to talk about some of the keys to victory, but talk about from your perspective as a defensive coach, how are you preparing your guys against a very talented freshman quarterback in Jaren Kiave Sangapula-Tele, and how are you kind of motivating the guys the night before a game or the day of the game when they're overwhelming favorites, they're playing for something special. Cal just had their head coach fired. Some people might call it a trap game, but how are you getting your guys prepared, and how do you get your guys ready for a talented quarterback like Cal has on their side of the football?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from Cal. So if you're Rhett Lashley and you're talking to your team, you got to go out there. You got to have an exciting week of practice all week. I'm pretty sure they have some explosive plays in their opening script that they're going to try to attack, and you're going to try to get points on early, right? You're going to try to get over there and not let kind of a wounded animal hang around, right? You don't know how Cal's going to show up. Are they going to have a lot of energy? Are they going to be, playing pissed off together? But if they get out there and they move the ball down the field on that first drive, then you're going to have a dogfight on your hands. So SMU is going to try to score early with some explosive plays like their offense does, and then Cal needs to kind of weather the storm, run the ball, and just convert on third down.
Spot on.
Good news for everyone is that Stef McClure is going to be sticking around as we come up with some keys to the game after these messages.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
Live from the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza, it is the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff show. Greg Silver, Patrick Laird, Stef McClure, all getting ready for the final game for the Golden Bears here at Memorial Stadium, taking on number 21 SMU. Let's talk a little bit about some keys to the game. Just a reminder that coming up in about 10 minutes, we got the Cal Football Bud Light Tailgate Show with Mike Pawlawski and Justin Allegri here at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. So let's get right into it. I know we're going to break down some SMU tape because he was a member of that coaching staff. But, Pat, you've had a week, and even though you're not on the team anymore, I know that marinated with you. That Stanford loss, 31-10. You've had a week to think about it. How can the Golden Bears under Nick Rolovich come out, reset, refocus, and play a little bit of spoiler today?
Steph talked about it earlier. Like, as an offense comes off of a coaching change or maybe a game that doesn't seem like it matters as much as you thought it might have at the end of the season, the offense can just kind of just throw things out there and see how the defense responds. So I'm excited to see what Coach Harsin draws up for tonight. But, you still want to go into the game level-headed and come well prepared. So I think what Cal needs to do is lean on their strength. So they have a very good secondary. It's been a few weeks since we had some takeaways, so I want to either see a defensive, punch out or maybe an interception. Scoop and score would be great. So I want to see the defense start to get some takeaways because I know SMU is very high in the takeaway category throughout this season. And then so on the flip side of that means we need to protect our quarterback, give him time to throw to his receivers. And then the third key, I think, for Cal is stopping their running back, TJ Harden. He transferred from UCLA to SMU. He's having a really good year. He's you see him break a lot of tackles. He is one of those guys where the first guy has a hard time bringing him down. So what I want to see is swarm tackling on their running back. Don't let him get those extra 2 or 3 yards that keeps SMU on schedule and helps them drive down the field. So if we can limit those things, Cal has a chance. And, you never know with a talented quarterback. I would love to see Cal bounce back from last week and go out and finish the season strong in front of the fans tonight.
Cal has struggled to run the ball consistently, and SMU has the best rush defense in the conference and one of the best in the entire country. So you might say, all right, let's open up the passing game. JKS, let it rip. It's a senior day. You're a freshman. Make it a good day for your seniors. And that's all fine and well, but Stef, that means you got to deal with somebody in the secondary like SMU's Ahmad Moses.
Absolutely. Ahmad Moses, that whole SMU secondary, they are third in the nation in takeaways. So they're very opportunistic. They do give up a lot of passing yards. That is the weakness of their defense. It's kind of bend, don't break. But they get timely takeovers game after game. Ahmad Moses has had a 95-yard interception return. He's had tips and overthrows. So they're in the right spot. So they need to continue to be opportunistic, get takeaways. But for Cal, too, they need to just get on schedule, right? And you have to run the ball. You can't abandon the run with a freshman quarterback and just think you're going to air it out. And then Cal's defense as well, they need to stop the run. Get SMU behind the sticks, second and long, and then one of Kevin Jennings' best things is when he improvises. When he escapes the pocket, they get a lot of big plays. So they need to keep Kevin Jennings in the pocket and corral him and make him have to make throws from the pocket and his reads and kind of just push the pocket from, right in his face, make him airmail some throws.
Pat, what do you think Cal's defense needs to do in terms of stopping SMU on the offensive side of the ball? Because we just had a great breakdown of Cal's offense, SMU's defense. Look at Cal's defense. I know the second half they started to wear down a little bit against Stanford, but the reason that Cal was in the game for as long as they were down at the farm is because the defense was doing fantastic against Stanford. They were winning the field possession battle. They had a blocked field goal at the end of the half. They got a sack right off the bat. And so in the end, Stanford was able to run the ball and play a little bit of that clock game once they had some control in the lead. But the defense was looking like they were going to put together a full performance. They didn't. Now they got to bounce back today.
I talked about, leaning on our strengths, which is, I think, our secondary and, maybe our 2 middle linebackers. But Kevin Jennings is a dynamic quarterback on the SMU side of the football. So in order to lean on the strengths of your defensive backs, you could have the best defensive backs in the world, but if there's no pressure on that quarterback, you can only protect your zone or guard your man for so long. So having a quarterback that could extend plays, get outside the pocket is going to be a challenge for Cal tonight. So I'd really like to see some of those edge rushers, TJ Bush maybe stepping up, getting some pressure on the quarterback tonight, and let those DBs have the chance to cover their man. And when their quarterback, SMU's quarterback, Kevin Jennings, gets desperate, maybe they throw it up and give us an opportunity to take away the football.
All right, Steph, we appreciate your time hanging out for a couple of different segments, and we talk a lot about the Pro Bears, and we got a lot of guys currently in the NFL here from this university continuing to excel, and then obviously from your era, many more just like you two. So thanks for coming by, and enjoy the game.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Really appreciate being on the show. Look forward to next year, and let's get a win, Bears. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Absolutely. We will wrap up the show when we come on back with our final thoughts. It's the Cal Football Countdown to Kickoff.
You bring your curiosity, your ambition, your spirit to Berkeley. To be an AI machine learning, twisting, turning, flipping, video game soundtrack performer. A student of human rights strengthening, sustainable architecting, quantum science pioneers. A member of solar car designing and racing, community-driven student farming, football team rousing communities. You bring your whole self to Berkeley to be a part of the greatest public university.
Final few minutes here at the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Plaza. It's the Cal football countdown to kickoff. We'll be back here for postgame as always. Greg Silver, Patrick Laird, and yeah, we've had a lot of fun today. It's been a very strange week as we look at the trajectory of Cal football. The last time that we were on the air together, it was not even a full day before they made the decision to let Justin Wilcox go. We heard from Ron Rivera. We talked about Jaron Kiave-Sangapolatele with Mike Pawlawski. We just had your former teammate and former SMU coaching staff member, Stef McClure, join us, and he's going to be coming by for postgame as well. So definitely stick around after that one, however it goes. And as far as the Golden Bears, I think that, you know, and give me your player perspective on this. When there is a lot of outside noise, you know, I think if you're at this age, we live in an era now where there is social media and there are phones constantly buzzing, and it can be challenging to block out the outside noise. Does it make it easier after a tumultuous week when the game starts, knowing that you just focus on what's going on between the sidelines, between the two end zones, and you worry about the 60 minutes and everything else after that can be a problem for after the game?
Yeah, sometimes it can be the case where some external decision outside of your control as a team, right, can bring you closer together. And so sometimes when you see a coach leave mid-season for whatever reason, whether they're fired or have to step away for personal reasons, sometimes that team can choose to respond one or two ways. And honestly, you see it happen in the NFL. Those seasons just go down the drain. But every once in a while, a college football program rallies around the interim coach. Coach Rolovich is taking over. I loved everything he said in the press conference, his message. He honored Coach Wilcox, but he also wants to honor the seniors tonight and help get a win, one of these upset wins to spoil the end of the season potentially for SMU. So I'm really excited to see the type of juice that the guys come out with tonight. And that's going to be a testament to see, which guys we want to stick around and battle for this program moving forward, and then which guys maybe not so much the case going forward with everything changing in college football. But that's really the message I think Coach Rivera is talking about. Cal has never fired a coach that qualified for a bowl game, I think, in the history of the program. And so I think what Ron Rivera is saying, what Chancellor Lyons is saying we're serious about elevating the standards here at Cal football. We're going to miss Coach Wilcox. He's such an awesome coach and man. But I think they're just publicly telling everybody, here's the standard. And so the next coach that comes in knows that making it to a bowl game is not the expectation anymore. We want to rise above that and maybe start chasing these SMUs and these Virginias at the top of the ACC.
And this is the type of statement that could be made to whoever that next coach is, which includes among the list of 14 the man you're going to see leading them today, Nick Rolovich. Then it's also a big day for Brian Harsin, another one of those 14, and how he can try to work around this SMU defense, which has been known to become one of the best in the entire country. And so Cal, it's only third time they're playing SMU in their existence. They did it this time last year, lost 38-6. That was a shorthanded Cal team coming off their thrilling big game victory. And then outside of that, you got to go way, way, way back into September, I want to say 1957, when SMU won a narrow, low-scoring victory, 13-7, something around that. So as is the case with all these ACC matchups, it's a little bit different, it's a little bit new, but nothing's more brand new than what these young Golden Bears have to deal with today, and that even includes the most experienced ones, the ones we're celebrating today, the seniors.
Yeah, and we're creating more traditions and rivalries in college football. Luckily, Cal and Stanford were able to stick together in this transition to the ACC. But, we're going to start facing teams that we haven't always played. Like, we used to always look at the UCLA and USC records and where we lined up against them. Now we're just creating new traditions and history in the ACC. And, yeah, I'm optimistic. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I was bummed when I heard the news about Coach Wilcox, but I still love this university. I still love this football program. I love everything that the town of Berkeley, the city of Berkeley, the university did for me, and I know a lot of alum feel the same way. And so that's the goal that Coach Rivera and Chancellor Lyons are bringing to this university. Let's match the prestige of our academics with our athletic department.
And that's the goal moving forward. Ron Rivera was very public about the standard and the type of floor he wanted to set. So whether that involved making a change or not, the goal still remains the same. And so in our final moments here, I want to thank all of our production team. I want to thank Alex Wheat, Sam Weisman, Tyler Tim, as always, for getting this all set up. Don't go anywhere because we do have our final day of shows, but that includes one more show. That will be the Cal football wrap-up. And coming up in just a bit, you will hear Justin Allegri and Mike Pawlawski for the Bud Light Tailgate Show and the Cal football booth cam, where you can see them calling the game live because the world of technology just continues to grow. It's fantastic. So, all right, final thoughts. When we come back, you think Cal pulls a little bit of spoiler?
I think so.
All
I'm always rooting for the Bears.
Yeah, of course. A little senior day magic here as we finally got the sun getting blocked. We're coming up to the Cal football Bud Light Tailgate Show. Once again, I'm Greg Silver. He is Patrick Laird. And we will be back here after the clock hits 0. Don't go anywhere. And if you're in the stands, come back out to the Plaza. We'll have energy and maybe some more giveaways. You never know.
Yep.